Next week's my birthday, dude.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Damn.
It's middle of the month, isn't it? It's like 16th, 15th, whatever.
13th.
13th. Yeah. There you go.
Isn't your birthday like September?
Mine's like near the beginning.
September 3rd.
8th.
8th.
Yeah. It's the
There you go.
first. It's like usually right after Labor Day. It's like right
Yeah.
that first week.
Hey,
of
we
school.
should go. I talked to Emil and Vic. We should go get some Korean barbecue sometime.
Yeah.
Just like a few of us.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
You know,
Barbecue. Get Sunny in there too.
get Sunny in there.
Yeah.
This guy's looking like a fucking holy man with the company in his heart.
Company heart. Actually, I want to take the sweater off. The hat's cool, but this is a bit much, and it's fucking hot. You know what's funny? I'm gonna take it off. It's more of the same.
Yeah.
It's just a company shirt under. That's all it is. What are you doing tomorrow? Morning.
Chilling.
Can I swing by for a quick cut tomorrow? In the morning? Like before 12?
Possibly.
Like 11.
I can't confirm or deny right now.
Jesus, I look like a fucking...
Like you're about to change my fucking plumbing.
I was gonna say.
You're like an HVAC guy.
I love it.
That you got some plumbing
Yeah,
experience.
you know, it's very much like the plumber salesman, or the HVAC salesman.
Yeah,
This is the salesman.
You're gonna do me a favor.
Yeah.
And make the sale.
Watch, now you're gonna do me a favor. Unbutton one.
Damn, bro, what's that chain about?
do you
You've
mean?
never been a Jesus guy chain.
No, Sabrina got it for me.
Oh,
Before I left for my trip.
so cute.
So
Is
I
it gold or silver?
silver.
Is there some rule about
No.
being gold or?
No. Well, usually you don't want it too crazy. So it's like diamond studs and all that shit, like fucking
I
like
don't know,
Lil
man.
Wayne.
I've seen some Christian Catholic shit that's super diamond dope.
Only the top
Only the top
creeps.
Gs?
Only the top G's.
Only
Yeah,
the top
only
Gs
top
could be-
G's.
You're wearing that fucking
Like, have you ever seen?
lit up cross.
You might maybe like Google a thing, but if you look up like Pope
yeah,
practicing mass,
yeah,
like during like a special event,
balling.
bro, like literally
Ballin'.
dripping,
Ballin'.
and stuff, like
Ballin'.
silk embroidered,
Damn,
gold
dude.
leaf embroidered.
Now listen,
bit much.
all that's great.
That's a bit
But
much.
Do these guys have slaves? Because that's the ultimate.
No,
flex.
not anymore. Actually, even back then, they were never considered slaves, because
They're just like little hoes.
no, it's back in the day when like the church ruled everything. People would give their lives for the church. So as an outsider, if you're not religious, you'd be like, oh yeah, these are like, you guys are basically slaves. But they would never say that. They were like, no, I'm honored to like serve the Lord through this or whatever. So it was already rationalized in their head. So they never saw themselves as slaves in that sense.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Damn, bro. I think in Iran, like you could probably down south, you could probably still get slaves.
You could probably, what?
You could probably get slaves still.
You think so? Like
Oh.
an actual slave?
Yeah, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah, like a Arabian fucking peasant you can probably buy. And you know what? They'll be happy because they're over there. They have a over-birth crisis and under
Really?
financial status crisis.
Is that so?
Well, poor people in third world countries generally have more kids than they can afford.
That's true.
You know,
That's
so
true. That's
down
true.
there,
You see it in
it's-
Africa.
it's even more.
Most third world countries that has.
Yeah,
that-
dude.
that's
These
the
guys
thing.
are
It's
fucking
true.
at like it's hot over there.
Well, they
so
don't do birth control there. It just doesn't exist.
Not only that, but generally, if you look at areas that are hotter, people in those localized areas generally go through puberty much faster than colder areas. This is a proven fact.
I don't think it's a proven fact.
Well, think about it.
It's an interesting theory. I just don't think it's a proven fact.
No. The amount of kids that go into puberty, like as a boy, like 9 years old, is far surpasses anything over here, and this has actually been shown
Here, yeah.
But
That's because we're softer. Yeah, but what about the Chechens? What about the Mongols out in the fucking? You know how cold it gets in Mongolia?
Yeah, they don't go through puberty that
They
fast.
do.
No, they don't.
They do.
Do you
You
know
want
like
to see something?
those?
You want to see something crazy?
You know those Russians, those Chechens? They're not actually that hairy.
Look up. Well, okay, Mongolians aren't hairy at all, but they have a lot of tests.
Mongolians are just Korean.
Look
you know
up,
that, right?
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
It's the
Genetically, they
other
are.
way around. It's the other way around.
Koreans
'Cause
are
who's-
Mongolians. I understand.
Yeah. I'm like, who
But
came
what I'm
first?
saying is they're the same.
Yeah,
same
there's a
genetics.
lot. There's a lot there. I mean, that whole eastern part of the world, is some crazy shit. I mean, fucking with the Han Dynasty in China. I mean, if it wasn't for the Han Dynasty, they would still be Mongols over there. A lot of them still are.
My really good friend in Azerbaijan, he married a Mongolian chick, and he moved to Mongolia.
To
and
Ulaanbaatar, like the capital.
I don't know where exactly.
Actually, I think that's the only like real city there.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
where the fuck else are you gonna go?
But apparently they're running a farm with like 15 horses, like 20 cattle. Like they're killing it.
I believe it. Yeah,
They got like 3 kids.
that's what they do.
Homeboy's like 30 years old, and he was texting me in Turkish, and I was like, fuck, dude, like that could have been me. You know what I mean? At one point in time, if I didn't apply for that immigration,
It's some
I could've been-
in some alternate reality. There's a world where, this never happened, and then I go traveling to like fucking Mongolia or Turkey, and then I bump into like the other universe of you.
yeah. And you know what happens? I rob the shit.
Yeah, it's like you, but like a slightly dirtier version. Like
Not
looking.
slightly, just a way more savage version.
That's what I mean.
You
Like,
wouldn't even recognize
like,
me because
this-
I'd have a unibrow.
Like exactly.
Yeah.
That version would look at you and be like, "Yo, what the fuck? Why are you doing all this work to your? Why are you
Yeah,
doing
what are
all
you-
this?
what are you-
Yeah,
what are you,
exactly.
gay?
Yeah, exactly."
What are you fucking?
And
you
you're just
suck
like-
dick.
And you're like, "Yo, I just want to look good." He's like, "What do you mean look good?
This
Just your
is
body's
gay.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
your body's good enough."
Guys from over there, they're like, what is it? You shouldn't change your identity that God gave you, or something along.
Yeah,
the lines of
it's
this,
true. Yeah.
Right, and
yeah.
I'm sure like parts of Latin America are like that too.
Yeah, like the more remote regions and like the more traditional regions. Nowadays, the whole grooming, the Miami culture has invaded a lot of South America, so
Yeah.
now everybody kind of sees it the same way. Like if you go to Colombia, it's basically just a second version of Miami.
Yeah,
Silk shirts, looking like face groomed, everything like everything that you would expect out of someone out of Miami, you'll see in like Cartagena and in Colombia. Basically the same.
You think it's LeBron's last year or no?
No, I don't think it's his last year playing, but I think the real debate is does he stay in the Lakers or not.
I don't think so.
I think the only way he stays is if they make a strong commitment to drafting Bronny.
Well, they already fucked up the current draft. They could have picked one lower,
Yeah.
and they would have got this. His name's Marcus or Maurice, or I don't know what the fuck his first name is,
Mhm,
Marcelo. But apparently he was averaging like 25, 10, and 5.
Okay.
And he was like really good Division 1 player.
Yeah.
And Toronto ended up taking him. So
Right.
they already dropped the ball in the draft this year. So I'm
Right.
pretty sure they might drop the ball. I just think they should trade AD. Just pass that shit over. Restart. Like, take your initial players that are decent.
The problem is if you trade AD, which is fine, you pick something up for him, then really it's like, okay, LeBron, he's 39, turning 40 next year. You got probably, I mean, it's hard to tell math because
3 more years.
we're already in uncharted territory. Like,
Yeah.
and nobody his age has ever played this well.
No.
So it's like, okay, he could literally drop next year. Like all of
Yeah.
a sudden, like he picks up a shitty injury or something.
I don't think he'll ever really drop. I think he's going to pick up an injury and then never
Yeah.
be able to come back.
Yeah.
I think that's more likely because you only go down a certain percentage per year. Even Jordan.
No,
Why
no.
Jordan was why it was so drastic was because he took those periods of time off and didn't fucking ball and didn't train. LeBron's been at it since
Oh
he was
yeah,
like
I know.
8 years old.
18. Oh yeah, sorry,
He's been
but like
8 years old,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's been training ever since. And
Mhm.
LeBron's made like a football player. LeBron's like a Zion Williams that leaned out.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Zion he has a eating problem. LeBron has like a fucking no teammate problem. Just fucking garbage. Everybody, this guy, the problem with him is like everybody that ever played with him turns shittier as they play with him. He like drains their soul.
What about Kyrie?
Well, he drained him enough that he wanted to get traded.
No, because he overshadowed Kyrie, and Kyrie didn't want to be,
Yeah, well,
Second fiddle.
That's
which is hilarious because look at him now. He's on the Mavs, and you're like second fiddle to Doncic.
yes and no, but Kyrie is much more skilled than Doncic.
He's more skilled, but he's still second option.
But he's not more skilled than LeBron. That's why it was ridiculous because LeBron at that time had
Yeah,
a
I
bigger
guess.
impact.
I guess, yeah.
Right now, you could argue that Kyrie has equal impact to Doncic.
On his day, but Doncic is
Doncic
much
is-
more consistent.
Yeah,
Like, he
but
averages
his game
better.
is like fucking boring too.
Fuck his boring, bro. He's literally
Anybody that their game is more boring, they're more consistent.
Okay. Like I don't.
Like, this is what
Just
I'm saying.
because he's slower, like he doesn't got the handles. Like
More
Kyrie,
athletic guys
Kyrie
are
is
less
the
consistent.
coolest looking baller like the
Yeah.
whole league. He's
Okay.
got the best handles. He's gonna make anybody
Yeah,
look
yeah.
boring,
Yeah.
right? Like
No, but
come on.
Kyrie's athletic as fuck.
I know.
Kyrie catches alleys at what is he? 32, 6'1". That's
You know,
that's
blew me away. LeBron still does that at 30-9.
Yeah, but LeBron's 6'8".
Dude, whatever.
He's been doing that for.
Bro,
He's
guys,
got the reach of a
guys who hit
7-footer.
40, stop jumping. Even the guys with hops. Vince Carter, did you see him dunk when he was like 40 something or whatever? It looked like he barely got up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he fucking LeBron, like his fucking head was hitting the rim. Like how is this fucking possible?
The interesting thing about LeBron is like, he is actually he's a football player playing basketball.
Yeah.
He could have easily been a wide receiver with that wingspan and that height. He could have been.
A lot of these guys are two sport athletes, and usually when they're two sports, it's usually football and basketball, or vice versa.
Or more. Like,
And I know,
five
I know,
sport
yeah,
athletes.
but usually those guys if they've ever been more than one, if you're basketball, you'll generally be a football, and then vice versa. Like OBJ, same deal. OBJ played. He was a ball player.
right now, I think Nuggets or Dallas are going to kill it.
So who do you got? I mean, you might have changed your opinion already because I mean we've gone through most of the first round, but who do you got making the finals?
The East is kind of looking weak, generally. It always kind of does. Nobody from the East really pops out to me. Do you know anybody from the East that
Celtics.
pops out?
Celtics.
But the problem with them is like they got Jaylen Brown and who's the other kid?
Tatum,
And they got Tatum, right?
bro. Tatum's like
The problem with this is that
MVP
they've
ballot.
failed so many times consistently
Mhm.
that it's like I don't really trust that duo like I used to.
now. Well, they got Middleton, all right. That was a huge pickup for them.
Senora, shut the fuck up. We're trying to record something.
Mm-hmm.
She's complaining about Tatum.
Fuck that guy.
I don't think Middleton's enough of an impact, to be honest. I just personally think these guys that failed, like they're not really winners in their head, and I think it's a psychological issue more than a skill because those guys are the top athletes and the top stars in the NBA are very closely aligned in skill.
Yeah, it's true. There's really
know
not
what I
much
mean?
that separates them.
Exactly.
It's true. It is
So
mentality at that
I
point.
think it's a mentality thing, and I don't think Jaylen Brown really thinks he's an all-star, and I don't think Tatum thinks he's an all-star.
Tatum for sure he does, man. Come on, that
He-
guy's on MVP
again,
ballot like 2 years running.
I don't think he has the mental capacity to be like. If you failed so many times and you never really believed in it, these duo have dropped the ball how many times? I think 4 years back to back.
I wouldn't say 4 years because I think 4 years ago they weren't in that conversation. Like 4 years ago, Tatum was what 23. He wasn't really like okay they were like hot stars and they were like probably picked, but they weren't really serious contenders for the title.
I mean, they were like 20-point players.
Yeah, 20-point players is not like all-star level.
At NBA, it's not all-star, but it's a star.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah,
that's
at
not enough to
23,
win you a chip. That's
who
what I'm
else
saying.
is 23 years old and a star?
Doncic.
He played in a fucking harder league, and he developed.
Oh
since
yeah,
he
no,
was
no,
a
yeah. He's
kid.
MVP when he was 18. Same with like Wemby and all those guys.
I don't think practice is the actual beneficiary of playing. Like everybody practices.
Yeah.
I think it's competition level at an early age. If you're like 15 years old, 6'8", playing with men, you're gonna be a lot better than if you're just practicing with other 15-year-olds from fucking 15 to 18 or 19 or whatever the fuck till
Yeah.
you get drafted. I personally believe that playing in Europe is like, especially
Playing
for
Europe
tall
is huge
guys,
because they still
huge.
let young guys play, like 17,
17,
16,
16, yeah.
because they got that soccer mentality
That's
where if you're
4
good enough,
years till 20,
yeah,
dog. That's
yeah.
a long time.
Versus over here, if you're that age, you're either playing high school, college, or AAU, and you're playing amongst those
Not
people.
even at 16.
Like
though.
imagine if you were AAU for example, but like imagine if you were that age and you were playing with adults, it'd be totally different.
And another thing is college play is not like real basketball.
It's different. It's true. It's true.
NBA is a different kind of league, and it's actually closer to high school than it is to college.
I
So
see. Actually, that's what you're saying. Yeah, the gap. You're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
I think players actually
I agree with that.
get shittier in college.
I wouldn't say that.
They're less well-rounded. When they go to college, it turns into more of a team sport, even if you're a star.
Maybe.
They run all these plays that are ridiculous. I mean, NBA is like ISO pick and roll
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
the majority of the game.
Let me tell you my picks at the beginning of the like before the playoffs started. So I had Thunder, Clippers, Timberwolves, and Nuggets on the West, and then Celtics, Cavaliers, Bucks, and Knicks. So the only one up in the air right now is the Clippers, because they're 50-50 right now. Who the fuck knows who's gonna win that?
I don't think the Bucks are.
And then Bucks fucked me so hard. They got screwed, man.
I just don't think you can have Giannis like away
No,
for so many.
no.
games,
He needs to
and
be
then-
playing.
And then he's gonna come back like half-assed. It just doesn't work.
It's the same thing that Clippers are struggling with now. You know, I picked them to win because I was hoping that Kawhi was going to be at least healthy for the start of playoffs.
Kawhi's dropped off
the
2
guy's
years ago.
the guy's been no, he did really well this year. After the after Christmas, he had
Pretty
really
quiet though.
maybe, but he's also got other guys. He actually had a really good year, but only like half of a year. My issue was that I thought he was going to be healthier. No, this guy hasn't. The guy hasn't played. He's not gonna. He might. I think try again. Maybe like tonight or like.
I think he got his. He's one of those guys that got his chip, and I think he's done.
Well, the
He
other
got his chip in Toronto, and then he's done.
we got it in San Antonio too. Finals MVP
Yeah,
both
but
times.
like I think the Toronto was like 100%, and whereas San Antonio he had a lot of help.
He was Finals MVP in San Antonio.
No, he was Finals MVP, but he also had Tony Parker. He had fucking Ginobili.
You know, Tony Parker's historically not been that good in the playoffs. He drops.
Sure, but he's the okay.
Timmy, though.
Tony Parker
Timmy Duncan.
is as crucial as who's that guy from fucking Warriors?
Oh, you're Draymond?
Draymond.
Yeah.
Even though Draymond's shittier skill, but you need a Tony Parker guy that you can't have 5 stars. You need assistant stars.
Definitely.
And that's what Tony Parker was.
Definitely.
But you know what, man? He was fucking. What's that chick's name? Eva Longoria? No.
Yeah, Longoria. He was with Longoria.
Yeah,
Tony
was
Parker?
he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was smashing cakes for a while.
He was.
I think he was the first guy that I saw from the NBA transition to like stardom.
Oh, you mean like to get with a star?
Yeah, I don't think anybody before that really fucked around.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think you're
I
right.
think that was it.
There wasn't really a lot of,
You wanna
and if
let
it
her
was,
out?
yeah, sure. And if it was, you wouldn't hear about it.
Nah, I didn't hear nothing. Cause I ain't no snitch. Man, this guy's got his shirt tucked in like a fucking car salesman. Senor, go out. Go. Go. Go.
Come here.
Senor, go out.
Come here.
All right. Hurry. Yo, why is your shirt tucked in like this?
a sweater and it pokes out under. I don't like that. But normally, if I'm gonna be just chilling, I pull it out.
That's what she said. What's the one question you'd want to ask and you'd want to answer, but you haven't actually had it answered for you? Like, what's the one question right now in your life as a 30-year-old you want to ask that you want the answer?
Just in general.
Just whatever, dog.
Fuck, I don't know. Do you have one?
No, you tell me, dude. You're a man of God. You should be thinking about this shit. What would you want?
What do you mean you should be thinking about this?
Because
Why don't you think of this?
Huh?
What the fuck? You're asking this question.
I'm just
you don't have one.
introspective.
You don't have one to fucking.
Listen. I would ask, is it worth being a good person?
No, I don't ask that. I wouldn't. That's not something that I need to get. Answer. Like I already know the answer
It's
to
a
that.
lot of effort to be a good person.
Well, it's not just that. It's like it only. The return is much better than the alternative that you don't know the answer to.
For
Like
you.
even if it's not an overall benefit to be a good person, if it makes you go through life in a better place, why not? Like why not do that?
I think you're just assuming you would.
What?
I think people are told that they would.
No,
generally.
go do the other. Go do the like. Try it if you want. Don't be a good person for a bit. Just see how you feel. If you're the kind of person who's gonna feel better by being a bad person, then sure, you're one of the few. But generally speaking, you will feel better if you're a good. That's just
Yeah.
unless you literally get off on being like doing bad things. Well, then okay. But a lot of people aren't built like that, right? Like people will try something like, okay, well, that didn't fly. I
I
didn't
think
like
the
that.
elite are like that, where they're
Yeah, well, that's why a lot of people are
psychotic.
described as like sociopathic and psychopathic. But that's a minority of people. That's not
I mean,
the
it's
majority.
like pretty much across the board, all politicians.
Again,
all,
minority. There's 8 billion people on this planet. politicians make up a 0.000 like fraction of a percent of that population.
Do you think when you were a kid you thought the world was a better place, and as you got older it kind of dimmed on you?
Yeah, who didn't, man? This is, you're talking about like a child who like we're talking about like innocence a few weeks ago, right? And that's like and kind of like taking that veil off. That's just normal. That's life, right? You're gonna think the world's great, and then all of a sudden, like at first, like, when you grow up, your world is literally composed of two people for a couple of years, your mom and your dad, and then you start learning that there's other people out there, friends, teachers, family, whatever.
Yeah.
Then over time, people who don't love you will be introduced to your life, people that might do you harm, and then you're like, oh fuck, there's bad people out there, and you go from there.
I think it's it's a disappointment into a sense of gratefulness when you're a little bit older. I think once you hit 40 or 50, you go through all your major downfalls in life, and then you have a new perspective. Because I've been going to the YMCA in Smith there.
The one in Burrard?
No, the one in right here.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of these old Korean guys I talk to.
Okay.
And because they got saunas in the change rooms.
Damn.
So, you got towels there, you got toothbrushes, fucking hair gel, deodorant.
Couple of dildos.
Bro, whatever
you need.
Whatever
Nice.
you need, you know what I
Nice.
mean? And I was talking to him, and he was like, when I came to Canada, he's like, when I was a kid, I thought the world was a great place. And then when I came to Canada, I realized it's kind of shitty. And then as I've raised my kids, I've realized that, like, this cycle of life, all that shit I was worried about when I was, like, in my 20s or 30s and stuff, I came to the realization that I needed to go through those things at 40. But you don't really know that while you're going through your
that makes sense. Trials and
tribulations, because you're going through them at the current state, and you're not actually self-aware. People like to say they're very self-aware of whatever.
Sure.
Like, oh, I got to reflect on myself. It's like, I don't think we do that shit enough, because if we did, we wouldn't really have any problems with our problems. You know what I mean? It's like the whole Jesus shit. It's like, you tell God, whatever. Give me a fucking a prayer that these fuckers pray about. I want to be the richest guy in the world. He teaches you how to, like, live through poverty. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like every goal you have has an adverse training method that you have to kind of go through, and it might be a day, it might be a fucking decade. Who the fuck knows? But people always want the goal, but they don't want the the underbelly,
the shit leading up to it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this, man? Are you, like, more grateful for the shit that you got throughout your life, because now you're like, man, I got training towards this thing?
Yeah, I think, I even said something similar to that a long time ago, back when we had the boys, not my boys, but your boys here. We were just talking, like Shahab, and I think that was all five of them were here, and or all five of us were here. And something about, like, the question of regret came up, or the idea of that, right? And I think I remember saying something along the lines of, if you were at all happy or content with where you are, then logically you can't regret what you did before, because all of that is what led you to where you are now, the good and the bad. Because there's so many moments in life where if a thing went differently, sure, you might have saved yourself some grief, or you might have missed out on some happiness or whatever, but you might not be where you are. You might be in a different place. You might not have gotten that job. You might not have met that person that you love. You might not have met those friends that you enjoyed spending time with. You might have not developed there's so many, like, what ifs in that sense, that I think the bigger thing to do is, if you ever feel like something is not worth going through, you need to really consider whether what your end goal is, if you're actually going to enjoy being there at the end, right? Yeah. Because if you get that, and this actually happens a lot to pro athletes, and specifically, like, individual athletes, they've talked a lot about how once they attain a goal that they were working towards, they get an overwhelming sense of depression. Swimmers have talked about this, like Phelps talked about this, and, like, other individual athletes, where they're like, I sacrificed so much to get to where I am, and I sacrificed relationships, my family. I let a lot of things slide, and all for the goal of being the best in the world or whatever. And once I won that little gold medal, I thought my life was going to be fulfilled. And then I realized that it wasn't. And when I realized that it wasn't, that's when I realized I'm fucking depressed, because I've been working all this for that little fucking thing, and I never appreciated what I was doing before. And I didn't take the time to spend with the people that I loved, or, you know, seeing people that I wanted to see, or like doing the things that I wanted to do. Like, I so much was, in retrospect, lost in pursuit of that goal. So I think that's something interesting to think about whenever people are going through like a journey like that.
I think fulfillment's within. And the same reason why people, not the greed, but they share the word of God, is because they get some fulfillment within knowing that, you know, they have this relationship with a higher being.
Sure.
In itself, it empowers you to feel that you are invincible, or always forgiven, or whatever. But in hindsight, it actually, you just learn to forgive yourself.
I think that's actually a really good point, because that even speaks to what these athletes were talking about, right? Because you said fulfillment comes from within. Well, these people were definitely not. They were expecting to be fulfilled from something external once they received it. And once they did, they realized that they weren't fulfilled. And that's when like the existential like depression came from.
The number one thing I see with people that is, it's they set themselves up for failure. It's like, oh, once this happens, then
yes.
It's
you just said it. Once this happens, then those words right there. They say that a lot.
It's you're setting yourself up to fail, because once it does happen, you're like, well, what now? And then that's such a fucking mentality.
Well, not only that, but once the thing happens, if you don't feel how you were expecting to feel,
yeah,
what does that mean? The whole thing was a waste? You know what I mean? Like, that's, people are like, holy fuck.
Essentially, I think there's benefits in thinking things are a waste and things are not. So I'll put you into perspective on one way that thinking something's a waste can help you cope with, for example, a breakup. If you tell yourself it's a waste at some point of time, it helps you get over the breakup. But if you always think about your life in every relationship as if it doesn't work, it's a waste, that's not good. I think temporarily thinking it's a waste to be able to get over these, I guess, being too emotionally involved in a relationship, kind of distancing yourself once you see that it's not going to work, that's the move. But you can't always think that way. I think once you kind of forgive and you're less sensitive to the idea of that person, the idea of that relationship, you got to think of it as, what did I learn? Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Because even if you date one chick for the rest of your life, nigga, you might die, she might die, then what? It's a waste? Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
What a pointless way of thinking, right?
Almost what a pointless way to live, man, honestly. You have to really start seeking your own validation and your own fulfillment, because otherwise you are really putting a lot of pressure on things that probably won't turn out in your favor.
But this culture doesn't allow for self-validation.
I get what you're saying. I had this conversation with somebody recently, just talking about, you know, turning 30 and how that feels, and like talking about like being in your 20s. I think I was talking to someone about like someone's like little brother, and like they're pretty young, like around 20. It reminds me of my cousins who are 18, and kind of just like what they go through, and because I remember what I went through at that age. And one thing that I remember saying is that for a lot of men out there, your 20s are about seeking external validation all the time. You're either trying to get a better job, trying to get more money, trying to impress your friends, your family, your girlfriend, whoever you're trying to see. And a lot of that is spent in your 20s trying to do that better and better. Yeah. I think as you start rounding out your 20s, entering your 30s, and then this, some people will never get there, right? But eventually at some point you start to seek self-validation. And that's huge, because you go from wanting to prove yourself constantly
Yeah.
to other people, to doing things more for yourself because that's what you realize you actually want to do. So
Yeah, it's there's one kind of weird bodybuilding thing I was looking at, and he was like, if you look at your motivation, isn't it more motivating to impress yourself, or is it more motivating to impress others?
yeah,
And a lot of people now are really focused on impressing others. And as I age, I think I've started to turn into what impresses me, because
you started to turn that corner, eh?
I was very motivated in the last 5 to 7 years on impressing others with what I can do. And although that's important skill to have, essentially you're basically signing up your life for other people.
Exactly.
And that's a tragic way to live. And you can tell how guys do this and girls do this is they overdo their abilities in order to impress something, which is fucking sad. And you know, I've done this too, but it is what it is. What are your thoughts on that? When was the last time you had something like that where you were trying to impress others?
Done that a lot, man. I'm not gonna lie. That's something that I think as men we fall victim to all the time. Whether it's, you know, when you're dating, taking that person to like a nice place or like a nice environment or whatever, show them a good time. You're doing it to show them that, you know, that you are worth it, and you're trying to impress them because, you know, that's something you feel is going to help you. With work, you know, you'll do the same thing. You'll try and get a better position because, you know, you feel that you'll impress whether it's your coworkers or your family, your friends or whatever. Like that's, yeah, done it a lot. It's like I said, it's a common trap to fall into, and it's
especially
not
for men, I think.
No, that's what I said for men, right?
For men.
I made that context very, very from the beginning because women's validation is not seeked the same way.
No, they get it through attention.
No one is telling. I mean, nowadays things change, but like tradition, people aren't telling girls like, go be like the CEO of a company. Like you need to do that or you're worthless, or like, you know, start up your own company.
But what are we telling girls nowadays?
Get the better job or you're worthless. It depends who you ask, man. There's a lot of shit out there, but I think a big trap for a long time, the one that's I find the most interesting is the guys that play both sides of the argument, where they're criticizing and punishing girls for getting their validation about their looks from other people, but yet they're also gravitating towards those kind of girls. It's weird. Like they play both sides of both sides of that card.
Well, don't women do the same? They date top whatever 10%, 20% of the population. Women are actually very specific in who they date.
But what I'm saying, they don't criticize you for trying to do that. Like girls aren't criticizing you for trying to get a better position at work or like try and do more. Or
yeah, but they criticize you characteristically and call you like Andrew Tate.
Only if you're saying those kind of things.
Or
like,
Joe Rogan follower.
Yeah, well, that's if you start kind of repeating their opinions. But for basically since the industrial age, men have always been trying to get further, start up companies, be bigger, be better. Like that's been a thing since fucking the beginning, right? I think your opinion, the opinions that you might have on other things are the reasons why women would call you like an Andrew Tate follower, like a Joe Rogan, blah, 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 or whatever. If all you're doing is just trying to get more and more position at your work, or like try and, you know, start up a real estate company or whatever thing you're trying to do, I think the only criticism would happen once you actually start a family. Because then it becomes, oh, you're spending too much time doing that thing. You're not spending enough time on your family. That's the criticism that ends up happening eventually, but that's not at the beginning, because the girl that's dating you doesn't really give a shit about that until they decide that you guys actually want to start a family together. And then it becomes like, oh, you're neglecting your kids, you're neglecting me, you don't do this enough, you don't do that enough, you're spending so much time. And then on the consequence, the guy is like, well, yeah, I'm trying to do this because I'm trying to provide for you and for the kids and the family and take you out to vacations, all this other shit. So That's the criticism that happens. That's later on. That's not really at the beginning, right? That's a bit too early to do that.
It's interesting to see your growth because it's kind of like I think it's partially what parents see in us through the years, but we don't. They kind of see it. They have a sight of above.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus we have a sight of across.
Yes.
And it's funny that all the things we used to worry about, like, I don't know exactly all your trials and tribulations, but I'm sure you had some.
Yeah, sure.
Looking back, should you have been worried?
Oh, yeah. I think you have to let people go through that for better or for worse, right? And that's something that
That's the only thing I disagree on with you.
That's something that I've thought about with. I know we have different opinions on this, but I respect that you have your way of doing things. That's something that I've thought about with my cousins who are staying with me. They're 18. Yeah. They're at that inflection point in life where they've left youthfulness and they're entering adulthood.
Yeah.
And I think about, and the other thing to consider too is I'm not their parent, and I'm also not even like their uncle. I'm literally their cousin, but I'm their much older cousin.
Yeah. I'm
30, they're 18, right? So all that they're going to be doing right now, I've seen it, especially given the fact that they're foreigners. They're not even from this country. So I think about how much I want to be involved in the mistakes that I know they're going to make, right? I know there's an amount of mistakes that they're just going to have to go through because they're not dangerous mistakes. They're just things that they got to learn so that they can do better the next time. Because a lot of people, and I include my cousins in this, but I might be wrong, a lot of people have a hard time really grasping a lesson unless they're going through it themselves.
True.
You can tell somebody about it. It's like, hey, like if you go do that course, you're gonna spend $500 doing nothing, or like if you go to this store and you buy that thing, it's gonna break on you or whatever. And if you tell them, it's just not something that they're really gonna either believe or listen to.
Yeah.
Even if they believe it, they're like, oh, but maybe he's wrong. And then they got to do it, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I don't think it's there's two types of people that generally should give a loved one advice. It's a vertical peer, which would be more similar to where you stand towards your cousins, even though you're older, you're not their parent. And I believe if I was in that position, I would say, "Hey, you're gonna go through these things." But the most important thing is to try your best and not worry.
What I've been telling them from the beginning, I was like, listen, you guys aren't living with my parents anymore, so the rules here are a lot different than they were with them. The only rule I really give a fuck about is this is my place. Treat it nicely. That's all. Like, don't just keep it relatively
clean. You live with your cousins now? You live with your cousins?
They're living with me.
For how long?
Until June or July, I think.
Bro, that's gonna be fucking hell.
Fucking hell, bro. It's Bro, we're like, you're late to the party. I've been doing this since January.
This has been hell, huh?
No, it's been fine. And
do you smack them up?
No.
Do they get loud though?
No, they're really quiet. That's the thing. I'm trying to push them to do more. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, guys, like go stay out late. Go like literally go see girls. Go make friends with guys. Like, go make different friends that you wouldn't.
I thought you were gonna go to a different place with the guys.
No. Yeah. Just go do stuff, right? Yeah. Like go do stuff, please. And don't think that I'm gonna like make you feel. I'm not gonna tell on you or like make you feel bad. Like literally go do things. Go make mistakes. Go do things.
We should get them high.
And okay, that's just done. All right, and we're ending the podcast. Shit.
Are they? Are they
from
from the part of the family where they're super religious?
No, my dad's probably the most religious out of all the brothers and sisters, I'd say.
So do they like drink alcohol and?
I know.
They smoke.
I know one of them's drank once. I've seen it happen.
Smoke?
No, they're not smokers.
No smokers.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we just set them up? Get some pussy for them. How old are they? 18?
Okay, listen, this is why
they're 18 or 19?
18.
Okay.
They just turned 18 in January.
Okay, they might be a little bit scared, though. I don't know. I think at that age, people are generally a little bit cautious. I don't think,
like I said, you're at that point.
You're
at that point where you literally, you're just stepping out of the fact of you were in high school.
Yeah.
A few months ago.
2-3 years, I think, most people. I didn't experience it as much because I risked more, but... I think from 18 to 21 is generally when people have that leap of faith.
People do it differently, but yeah, that's kind of it's in that time, right? So, anyways, I hope it goes well for them, and I'll be there to support them however they need. But it's been an interesting one.
Any last words, man?
Give us a good quote.
True love never fails. And if it does, it wasn't love.
Damn, bro.
We out.
I like that. Peace.
Peace.